Hey guys, Joe here with Seattle Coffee Gear. Once again, not in Portland. I'm hiding out in the studio so I can film videos late at night when everybody is gone and post them without anybody noticing. Today, I'm going to bring you a brief little primer on tips and tricks to make your tamping better. Sort of my version of what not to do and what to do for reproducing results, getting the coffee you want to drink. First and foremost, there are two basic styles of tamper on the market. There are beveled tampers and flat tampers. The beveled tampers are convex. They have just a little bit of roundness to them. Sometimes they have whorls etched into them. What they do for you is they give your water a path of least resistance. Water will always take the path of least resistance. So by having that little curve to the bottom of the tamper, when you tamp, you're making sure that your water travels downhill and goes out your tamper. Or the bottom of your portafilter, I should say. My suggestion with the beveled tampers is to not use them. That curvature to the bottom will be great for learning, but at the end of the day, you are not getting as good of a shot of espresso as you can. My first suggestion, get a flat base tamper. Learn how to tamp properly with the flat base. You will be able to engineer the coffee you want. The curved base is training wheels. You can't ever take them off, however. Flat base is the way to go. The second big tip I have is know the size of your portafilter basket. If you have an 18-gram basket, that's what you should dose at. These are designed to be used at that dosage. So a scale is a very helpful tool for proper espresso extraction. And by measuring out your coffee every time, you are now controlling a variable that will be very helpful when we discuss how to make your espresso better. But right now we're just talking about tamping. So if you are watching a lot of videos, like some of these Seattle Coffee Gear videos, reading a lot online, a number of the coffee-centric books talk about tamping pressure, and they say to use approximately 30 pounds. I have an issue with that. My big issue is humans are very inaccurate tools. It's hard for us to reproduce results the exact same way every single time. There are people who are genetically predispositioned to do that better. They play sports for a living. That sense is called proprioception. And I'm not that good at it. I don't have a great sense of proprioception, so I need other tools to make my tamping accurate. They make calibrated tamps that are great if you're learning, but once again, it's another tool that I don't necessarily need. What I do need is a good grinder. The better my grinder, the larger my burr, the more accuracy I have built into the system. I could buy a calibrated tamp, or I could just get a really good grinder. Your grinder dictates your tamping pressure. So when you have a portafilter full of coffee, you have all of these teeny little ground bits of coffee that are all sorts of shapes and hopefully the same size. There's a lot of air trapped in between them, and when we tamp, we compress that air out of the coffee puck. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to compress any further than the bare minimum required, which is pushing down to resistance. So upping your tamping game is as simple as using your grinder to dictate your tamping pressure. All you do is you hold your tamper like you're opening up a doorknob. You don't want to sit there and tamp like this. That's a really great way to get a repetitive stress injury. Put the appropriate amount of coffee in your portafilter. You want to make sure your grounds bed is nice and flat. You don't want any big clumps of coffee. You don't want a giant mound. You don't want to have a big scoop missing in the middle, because that's all changing the density of our coffee. Water follows the path of least resistance. If I have a clump of coffee right here and no clumps over here, that clump is a little bit more dense. There's oils holding it together. There's static electricity holding it together. The coffee grounds might even be locked into place, kind of like magical Lego pieces. My water's going to hit that and be like, I'm going to go downhill, which is this way. I'm just going to leave you alone for now. And that little clump of dense coffee will be under-extracted compared to the clump of coffee, or the lack of clump of coffee next to it, which will be over-extracted. So an even grounds bed with as few clumps as possible. The little smack on the side, the occasional finger to brush it smooth. And then all you do is you get your tamper nice and level, and you push down with your shoulder. And it's just a static downward pressure until you feel resistance, and then you lift up. Don't sit there and polish. Try not to cock your wrist as you pull out, because you will dig the tamper into your coffee, giving it different density, less coffee, potential for uneven extraction. All you want to do is tamp down and up. Polishing, it's one of those muscle memory things that a lot of baristas have. I polish when I brew espresso shots because it makes me feel cool, but it doesn't do anything for me. In the end, it actually gives me potential to mess up my tamp. The more I polish, the more chance I have of moving the tamper around and getting an uneven extraction. So there you go. Don't hit too hard. Use your grinder to change your extraction time, and just tap it in. Until next time.